Welcome to Traveling Towards Wealth, the podcast where money meets adventure and freedom is always on the horizon. I'm Sarah Jones, financial coach, full-time traveler, houseplant lover, sourdough baker, and your guide to building a life that's as rich in experiences as it is in peace of mind. Each month, we dive into a new theme, whether it's real money stories, the ins and outs of full-time travel, building a business or multiples while on the road, or finding wellness and simplicity wherever you are. Here, you'll get practical tips, honest conversations, and a gentle push to spend, save, and live according to your values, not someone else's rules. If you're ready to design a life you truly love, one where you can travel more, stress less, build financial confidence, shop safer, and wake up every day feeling like you're exactly where you're meant to be, then you're in the right place. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's start traveling towards wealth, one story at a time. Hey, you ever feel like your partner and you are speaking two completely different languages when it comes to money? Friend, you're not alone. And today we're going to dig into why that is and how to bridge that gap. Maybe your partner is wanting to save for a new vehicle, right? Wants to buy a new vehicle, but you are worried about putting money into the savings account instead. Maybe one of you wants to vacation and the other one wants to fix something up on the house, right? Maybe one of you wants to go out with the guys, have a beer once or twice a week, and the other one wants to feel like they want to go and get their hair and the nails done or go to get a massage. And you just don't ever feel like you can agree on where that money is going to be spent or how it's going to be spent. In today's episode, we're going to be exploring the emotional and some of the psychological differences in how men and women view money. And there's going to be some actionable steps to help you really align your communication with your financial goals. So stick around till the end for a simple exercise that you can do with your partner in helping you see more eye to eye, becoming more, on the same page with money. And don't forget, book that free call with me if you're ready to make this work go a little bit deeper, right? You're ready to work a little bit deeper with this. So let's talk about a couple of the core differences between men and women's money mindsets. Now, these are generalizations, all right? You may or may not fall into this completely. And when I say men's and women's money mindsets and generalizations, don't feel like or don't look at this in a way that like, oh, well, I'm a man and I don't feel all that way. I don't feel all those ways. She's wrong. Number one, I'm not here to be right. I'm here to change your perspective and to share some insights with you that can help you change your dynamics within your relationship when it comes to money. All right. And these are generalizations that I have discovered that I have witnessed in the hundreds with the hundreds of clients that I've worked with over the years and my own situation and looking at friends and so forth. All right. So when we look at this, men's perspective on money, here's some of the key points, the key mindsets, beliefs when it comes to money. Men often tie money to their sense of success and ability to provide. All right. They want to know that everything is taken care of financially. If it's not, they feel like they're failing their family. Money's also tied to like that decompressing and rewarding themselves, right? So think of like having a beer with the guys on the weekend or on the way home from work, right? And having money in the bank is like a tangible representation of their hard work and time invested. When men are continually hearing their wives say like, "Oh, we're broke. Oh, we can't afford that." What that actually does is it makes him feel like he's letting everybody down. It makes him feel like he is not providing for his family, right? So just think about that for a second. Now, a woman's perspective, again, generalizations in a woman's kind of money mindset is women often associate money with like safety and security, right? They need to know that there's money in the savings to cover the emergencies and to avoid catastrophe when those surprises happen, right? If the kids need new shoes or they need something for school last minute, if there's an ER visit, women generally want to know that that money is available and there to cover those things, right? They definitely do not like surprises and they don't like to have information withheld, financial information withheld from them, and then one day get up and the lights have been shut off. Okay, that creates a lot of insecurity. Women don't want to feel restricted by an allowance for groceries or personal needs. It leads to guilt and resentment. And quite frankly, you're a fucking adult. You don't need an allowance, and it's not your place to give somebody an allowance. And I'm speaking to men or women here. Okay, it is not your place to give your partner an allowance. All right. For women, transparency again is key. They want to know what's really going on with the money and be part of the decision making process. They also want to have that conversation with their male partners. Now, this is also true in, obviously, I'm speaking in like heterosexual relationships, but it's also apparent in same-sex marriages. Okay. There are one person falls more into like the male type beliefs, and there's one that falls into like the female type beliefs, right? And so it's just important to look at where you fall and where you feel your partner falls. It's important to look at these areas, right? Because this is the gap. This is where the gap is happening in your relationship, okay? When a woman feels financially secure, it's like she feels more grounded, right? She feels like things are more okay. And that is really, really important. All right. So again, this is where a lot of the disconnects are happening, right? Most of the time, you and your partner are working towards a lot of the same goals. You both want financial stability, you both want financial abundance, right? But you approach it from a completely different angle, right? Couple of examples to this. He might want to save for a big purchase, a new car to feel accomplished, but she wants to build up savings for those emergencies to feel secure. Both are saving money, both are their own priorities, right? But those priorities clash because they're rooted in different emotional needs. So I would love for you to just pause for a second here and think about how this might play out in your own relationship, right? Some common misunderstandings, common things that happen are men oftentimes feel nagged or criticized when a woman expresses her financial concerns. All right. Women a lot of times feel dismissed or unheard when men focus on like the big future goals, like the big picture goals, without addressing the day to day security. All right. I often say, just in my own marriage, and if you've heard me talk at all, you've probably heard me say this before. I often say James and I were, for a long time, we were walking the same road. Like we had a lot of the same financial visions. We wanted the same things. But instead of walking hand in hand and seeing that vision and working together, we were walking with our backs towards each other. So I was doing my thing, he was doing his thing. We were not on the same page. It was taking a really long time, and it was creating this huge gap between us. That anytime we tried to have a conversation, it was like a confrontation. I didn't understand his priorities. He didn't understand my priorities, and therefore he was trying to make his priorities happen. I was trying to make my priorities happen. And it was just causing tremendous marital stress. Our relationship, as we were getting out of debt, was actually becoming something that neither of us wanted. It was awful. All right. So a lot of times people ask me, well, then, Sarah, how do I get through that? How do I change that? Here's where the real insight comes in, and here's where the exercise comes in. Okay. This is something that, and I'm going to give you my own example of what James and I actually did. And then I'm going to give you some example prompts to use. When I really recognized that James and we wanted the same things, I wanted our marriage to feel better. I wanted to connect with him. I was tired of not communicating at all. I was tired of living two separate lives. I was tired of trying to manage everything and do it on my own, as was he. All right. And what I did was I sat down with him. Now, this happened over a period of time. Do not think that everything changes in your relationship after doing this one exercise. It really does start to change the course of your relationship. All right. It changes the way that you communicate. It starts to bridge that gap if you continue to do it, if you continue to work it. Everything doesn't magically change and disappear. All the hurt, all the resentments don't just magically disappear just because you ask your partner one question. It definitely didn't with us, and it's not going to with you. What it does is it starts to change the conversations that you have if you're intentional with them going forward. So, what I did multiple times, but I started asking him, I said, what do you actually wish that we could do that you don't feel like we can? What do you want that you don't feel like we do? And I really listened to what he was saying without judgment from it. I really just wanted to hear what he had to say. And one of his big things was, he said, Sarah, I just want to be able to like go away on a weekend getaway, like rent a hotel. This was before we were traveling full time. This was many years ago. He said, I just want to be able to take like a weekend getaway spontaneously and not have this argument of like, oh, we can't afford it or we don't have money for it or have something else come before that. He said, I just want to feel like we can get away, take off for a weekend, and know that it's covered. We don't have to have an argument about it. And at first, I was like, okay, so he is really giving me some great insight. He is the spontaneous person. He always was, he always has been, he always will be. I have always been, will always be the planner. He is telling me what he needs. He needs to have something planned ahead of time that we can be spontaneous. Okay, so now the wheels started turning in my head. And then I started asking him more questions. That's a really great example of when things really started to change. Okay, so here's some prompts, right? Here's some examples that you can use with your partner. What's one thing you spend money on that makes you feel good? Just ask them. What's one thing we spend money on or you spend money on that actually makes you feel good? And then why is that important to you? Why does it make you feel good? And listen here, friend. If your first answer is like, I don't know, it just does. That is not a goddamn answer. All right? I want you to think about it. And if your partner gives you that answer, I would encourage you to say, listen, that's not an answer. I really want to know. Help me get to the bottom. Help me understand where you're coming from. Help me understand where you're coming from. Okay? I want you to really listen to what your partner is sharing without judgment. Chances are they are not going, unless you send them this episode, right? Chances are they're not going to just turn around and ask you that same question. So this really falls on you. If you want things to change, you have to be the one that really initiates these types of conversations. All right. And when you ask this question and your partner shares, you can say something like, wow, I had no idea. I really had no idea you believed that deeply about that. I had no idea that was so important to you. I'm sorry I didn't know that. Wow, this is so great. This is such great information. Thank you for sharing it with me. It feels a little hokey, a little wonky at first, but I will guarantee you that when you start having these types of conversation, your partner then starts to feel heard. They start to feel a little bit more appreciated, right? And it gives you more insight into the actions that you can take. After you do this a couple of times, right? If they don't ask you these questions, just say, is it okay? Can I share with you one thing that I like to spend money on that I feel good about? Chances are they're going to say yes. Okay. This is, again, this is not something that just changes overnight, but really over time makes an enormous difference. Here's another one. Okay. What's one thing you wish we could change about how we handle money? This gives you great insight. Even if they tell you something that you feel you have already been doing, that is great insight. It's great information because that allows you the data, it gives you the data that you need to make some changes going forward. It lets you know that if your partner is saying something that you feel you're already doing, that they want, what's one thing you wish we could change about the way we handle money? If they give you an example and you feel you're already doing that, that gives you the insight to let you know that you are not communicating that process to them effectively. Another question is, what's one thing you'd like to feel more confident about when it comes to our finances? This really lets you get into your partner's head when it comes to money. One thing I like to put some parameters on here. The question that you don't, or the answer that you don't allow is, oh, if we just had more money, it would make things better. Friend, that's not the case. That is not the case. And if your partner gives that answer, ask them, say, okay, that's valid. What else? Share something else with me. All right. And then after you do some of this together, right? Then it's a great time to reflect, right? You get to really talk about each of your values, the concerns that each of you have, right? You get to compliment each other. You get to really share your appreciation for them taking the time to have this conversation that didn't turn into an argument, that didn't turn into the silent treatment. You get to really discuss and reflect, and sometimes it's just a matter of saying thank you to your partner. I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that with me. An example is, if he values having money in the bank to show as like a reflection of his hard work, and she values having money in savings for like emergencies, peace of mind, maybe you guys can agree to build that peace of mind fund that really kind of satisfies both needs, right? It's about taking what one wants and the other one wants and trying to bridge that gap so you're both getting closer to what you both ultimately desire. Men and women may see money differently, but those differences really don't have to divide you. And when I say men and women, please understand I am talking about partner versus partner. Your partner believes something different about money, and we're not going to dig fully into all of the belief systems when it comes to money today. That will be on another episode. But just understand that your partner believes differently about money than you do, right? But these differences don't have to divide you. They don't have to be this big gap between you. When you start to understand where your partner's coming from, you can create then a financial plan that actually works for both of you. I know you can do this. I've done it in my own life, and this is exactly what I help people do. So I know it's possible. All right. If you are ready to take this work deeper and create your own custom financial roadmap for your family, book a free call with me today. Let's start working on getting you on the same page and working towards your goals together. All right. If you are not ready to book a call with me, I want you to use this episode, take these suggestions, the prompts, the questions that I mentioned today, and I want you to start implementing them. And then I want you to message me. I'd love for you to message me and share with me what is happening. Do you feel like the conversations are moving in a more productive manner? Did you gain some insight with your partner that you didn't have before? So share your results, share what's going on with me. All right. And I will say, that's all for today. Goodbye for now, my friend. Thanks for joining me on Traveling Towards Wealth. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share this show with a fellow free spirit who's ready to design a life they love. Want to dive deeper? I'd love to connect with you. Book a free call with me to chat about your money, your dreams, and your next steps. No pressure, just a real conversation. You can find the link in the show notes or on my website. And let's stay connected on socials. Follow me on Instagram or Facebook for behind the scenes RV life, money tips, and a little gypsy spirit along the way. Remember, your money, your journey, your rules. I'll see you next Tuesday for another story and some practical steps to help you travel further towards wealth, freedom, and a life you love. Until then, keep wandering, keep growing, and keep spending on what matters most.